I'm using a 6-inch backer, and this is a pre-made backer, not one that I made. And then I am going to color block the ribbon streamers. So I've got black, red, and white, and they are cut at 20 inches in length because I need 18 inches in length, so I'm giving myself 2 extra inches to attach to the backer. Okay, so I'm going to do some hand signals. I'm just trying to show how many I cut of each color. So 11 white, and then 5 of each of the black and the red. Now I'm going to cut a V shape on the bottom of all the ribbons to make them nice and pretty. You can cut them at a slant, or you can just keep them cut straight across. I just like either a V cut or cutting them at a slant because I just think it looks nicer. Quickly cut all of them. I like to pre-cut them before attaching them to the backer. It just makes it easier than having to do it afterwards. I have done it that way before. I prefer to do it in advance. Sometimes I forget and have to do it afterwards, but then you're moving all these ribbons around. It really is easier to do it before you start attaching them. So the reason why I've got 11 is because I'm going to attach one right there in the center, and I am measuring to make sure that I am doing that ribbon at least 18 inches or approximately 18 inches long. It doesn't have to be exact 18 inches. It can be a little over, it can be a little under, but right there in the center. And now I'm going to attach 5 on each side of the center. I get asked this a lot, so that's the reason why I counted these and did it like this, so you guys could see that, because some people really want to know that. I don't always, that doesn't mean that I cut 11 for each mom I make. Really, I eyeball it and see what works, and if it needs more, it needs more. If it needs less, then I've got extras. So I'm just starting out with the white layer, and then I'll do the red and black after I do the white layer. And then I am overlapping them. As you can see, they're overlapped. That way it looks fuller. You don't need as many layers, and you don't have any gaps. I don't like when you see gaps, so that's why I do it like that. I want them overlapped, and like I said, it'll make it look nice and full, and you don't have to make it really heavy or anything like that, and you don't have to use as much ribbon. You don't have to spend as much. You could get crazy just adding and adding ribbons, but I prefer to do it like this. This is the way I have always done it. And I'm trying to be even on each side. You see, I don't just slap them up there. When I do a really long mum, I usually attach those in an upright position, so it's not as neat as this. But for the smaller ones, I really try to be as neat as possible with attaching the ribbon streamers. And you can make it really, really wide if you want. You can keep going. You can make it really narrow if you want. I like to make them on the wider side rather than narrow, but that just depends on your preference. What style do you like? What style does if you're doing it for a customer, what style do they like? That's actually the most important. Now I'm cutting this in half. If you're going, what in the world is she doing? It's a trick I learned from Connie at the Southern Cottage. This is going to be the center or middle layer, so you don't need a full backer. And look, you can go over the top with your stapler and staple those ribbons that are in the middle, and you don't have to worry about wrinkling up the ribbons on the sides. It just makes it so much easier. So now I'm going to work on the red and black ribbons. And I'm going to lay them out first, make sure I have enough. And again, I cut a V shape on the bottom, cut the same length. And you can see that the width there is 18 inches as well, or maybe a little over, because my mat is 24 by 18 inches. So that's how you can gauge like how big the mum is. And you see I'm going, instead of having to come through the side, I can go over the top of that. Now I have shown other videos of this mum as well. I kind of went backwards instead of starting from the beginning. So I've already shown 2 videos, one where I'm attaching the braids and chains to this mum, and the other one where I'm attaching like trinkets and stuff. So I will put a card or a link that comes across the top of the screen for each of those. And I think I have more videos of this mum too. I'll have to look, I can't remember now, but I'm pretty sure I do. So keep looking for those, and I'll also put all the videos in one playlist together, so it'll be easy to watch them all. Now for the black, you see this is just a fun thing to do, to color block them like this. Now I've got 2 full layers of the 2.5 inch width ribbons on this mum, and see how full it looks. You don't have to add a whole bunch and make it really, really heavy. So there's 11 ribbons on the bottom layer, 10 ribbons total on the top layer. You see no gaps or anything like that. Now I'm going to add some pretty wired ribbons, and you can use any wired ribbons you want to. You can use really expensive craft store ribbons. You can use Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter where you've got the wired ribbons, as long as they're pretty, add them to your mum. So again, I'm cutting them at 20 inches, and this one right here is more of a sequins, and you know, it's not a solid ribbon, you can see through it, so it's a little bit delicate. But again, I'm going to cut enough of those to cover over those red acetate or luster ribbons. And I'm using a rotary cutter. You can use your scissors, whatever is easier. Now, this particular type of ribbon, you can pull the wire off, the edging off with the wire. You see how it looks? Usually this comes off very easily, but sometimes it might leave it a little bit jagged on the edges, so just be aware of that and then see what it is. Sometimes it doesn't completely come off, so you just have to be careful. What I'm going to do is take my rotary cutter and I'm just going to trim up the edge. And the reason why I'm taking this edging off is because it's not going to lay very nicely if I leave that edging on, and that is not the case for most wired ribbons. It is this particular kind of ribbon and edging, mostly the edging. Any of these edgings, and I'm saying edging, the material that holds the wire to the edge of the ribbons, if it's like a foil look, first of all, it'll probably tear off the ribbon very easily, and second, it just prevents it. Even if you take the wires out, it doesn't want to lay naturally. It wants to be like bubbled and kind of not even a nice bubble. I don't know how to say it. It just like, it'll have like creases in it and stuff. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't to me. So I'm cutting that off, and the easiest way to cut it off is with that rotary cutter. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. So it's only the ribbons that have the edging that's like foil looking or kind of plasticky looking. I don't know why, it's just those ribbons for some reason. And this one looks like a foil type edging. So it's not that the edging looks bad or anything, it's just the way the ribbons are going to lay, and that's what I care about, because I want them to lay flat, I want them to be flowy, I just want them to look really nice. And it's not just because this is Dollar Tree ribbon. You can buy ribbons with this edging from anywhere, including high dollar craft stores. I know because I worked at one, and we had ribbons just like this that were very expensive, and sometimes you'd be making a bow and that edge would just start pulling off. So it doesn't matter what brand it is or where it's from. Again, I'm going to cut a V shape on the ends. I wasn't paying attention, but I believe I cut five or six. It's not going to be quite as wide since I trimmed off the edges. But I am going to lay them out, see how they look, see if I've got enough. You see how pretty that is, and that's going to add some nice sparkle to the mum. Sometimes those staples get stuck. Doesn't want to staple all the way or correctly. That's my older stapler too. It's always the one that kind of gets jammed up sometimes. My newer one so far has not done that. Okay, so it looks like I only cut 4. I thought I would have cut more than that. I was watching what I was doing, but not counting how many I was doing. Now for some thinner glitter ribbons to just change it up and give it some more texture and you know, just some more ribbons. This is just a glitter ribbon. You can get these at Dollar Tree. I'm really not liking that red on top of that red. It kind of looks a little orangey. I think I'm looking at it there like, is that really red? Because it doesn't look like it. So now I'm going to move on to the black. And this one is not like sequency, it's more of a, almost like a tulle with glitter all over it. Kind of textured. It's not, I mean, it's not solid glitter. And I probably got that during the fall months, like around Halloween. It's not like a spider web or anything like that. Don't worry about that. It's just, they do sell stuff like that, but you can get solid black. So you can see how they're bubbled up, so that's not going to lay nice. So I'm going to take those edges off. And the edge on these aren't really foil looking, they're more plastic looking, and that's what I was talking about. Okay, so first I tried taking the wires out to see how they look. But I also, like, it's not just about how they lay, I just really don't like that edging the way it looks. Let me see. So, take that wire. So I decided just to go ahead and trim them off just like I did the red too. You see how it doesn't even want to lay flat? So I don't like that. I don't like that on a mum. I want it to lay natural and be flowy and just not have those weird edges. That's just me. If you like it, then do it your way. You don't, like I said, I try to say this all the time, you guys don't have to do what and how I do stuff. This is how I do it. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it's just the way I do it. So hopefully you get ideas and techniques and yeah, just learn from me. I make mistakes all the time, so learn from my mistakes and hopefully I give you inspiration. That's what I hope for. And of course I welcome your ideas too. If you find something that works really well for you, I'm more than happy to hear any ideas you guys have. No, I'm not going to bother with the wire since I know I'm just going to trim it off. And you see how easy it is if you use a rotary cutter. Like I said, it's not perfect either. I don't do a perfect cut. But when you get a bunch of them layered on there, you can't tell. Just going to continue on until I get enough to cover that. I don't think these are quite as wide as the red. They might be. Maybe I'm trimming off a little bit more. Who knows? So just experiment with it. I think that's number 3. So 5 is definitely going to be needed on this one. And I'm trying to make these videos a little bit longer and a little bit more of real time for you guys because everyone voted and said they like the longer videos. They like them not so sped up and edited, so that's what I am going for, but that doesn't mean I can come up with 30 minutes of talking. So I apologize. I may have to throw some music in here and there. You see how easy that is too, to go over the top and staple those that are getting more to the center of the backer. So thank you again, Connie, for teaching us that trick and tip. You can always learn from each other. So I say I'm open to ideas and tips and tricks. I may not use your idea or tip or trick. Doesn't mean I don't like it or that it's bad. I'm just going to do what works best for me. And also, I'm kind of a habitual person. If I do something a certain way over and over again, it's hard for me to quit doing it that way. I have to reteach myself to do it a new way. Like, for instance, this half backer thing, the backer cut in half like that, I guarantee you next season I'm going to forget more than I do it. Not because I don't like it, because it's not a good idea. It's just because I've been doing it a certain way for so many years that I will forget until I'm like, oh, why didn't I cut that off? So it may take me a while to get into the habit of doing it this way over and over, but eventually I'll get there. And who knows, if I start out the season doing it this way, then I should get into that habit of doing it the rest of the season. But if I forget, then it's going to be really hard for me to remember. That's just how I am. So the small black works really, really well. And I'm trying to remember if this is 5/8 or 3/8. I think it's 5/8. This is their glitter ribbon, Dollar Tree glitter ribbon that they get in so many different colors. You just have to check different seasons and holidays. They'll get different colors. So whatever school colors you need, I would definitely stock up during those holidays or seasons. So no, that's going to be, the black is going to be another Halloween thing. So I always shop the seasons and holidays. It's really better on like crafts, if you go to craft stores, if you wait till after the holiday, because then you're more likely to get stuff on clearance, but you may not find the exact things that you're wanting. But with Dollar Tree, you're gonna pay $1.25 no matter what. I think they do, some of them do run things on clearance, but I've never seen any. Not at ours anyway. You see, that just adds a little something extra. A new dimension and technique, or not technique, texture. I can't talk. And then I'm checking to see how I like the black on top of the red. And I do like it. Just because I did red and black with the other ribbons doesn't mean that I have to continue that on. I can change that up and give it a new look. Now remember, I used one roll of red and one roll of black for this mum. So if you're doing one solid color all the way across for those glitter ribbons, you'll want to buy 2 rolls to make sure that you cover it good. And that's if you're doing the same width and length as me. If you're doing longer, then make sure you buy more than 2 rolls. Or if you're doing more layers. I get asked a lot, like, how much ribbon I use on a mum. I don't count. I don't sit there and do the math of how much ribbon I've used. I just don't. I mean, you can do the math on that. You can, figure out, I tell you how many ribbons I used, and then you know the length, so you can very easily calculate that to figure out how much you're using, and then figure out how much your ribbon cost you per yard. And so you can figure it out like that if you need to know the exact amount. That's just not something I want to do. I just rather kind of guess about how much my mum costs. I'm just not that person that's very OCD about that kind of stuff. So whatever works for you. So this is the ribbon streamers. I'm done with this part, and sorry I said this was a 30-minute video. It is not. It's 20 minutes. And again, I look through the links on the top for the how I attached the braids and chains, and then how I attached the trinkets. And I think I did a video for at least one of the chains on here, and I think there was more than that, so just watch out for those videos in the coming weeks. And again, I'll put these all in a playlist for you, so you can see, so you can just go to the playlist. Sorry about the dogs. So you can just go to the playlist and watch all of them. It's not going to be a full start to finish of the mum, but I tried to get as much of the mum making as I could. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you did not, I'm sorry. Please comment, and please be kind with those comments. And I will catch you all on the next one. Happy mum making. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others.